time we did this meeting together, we focused a lot on what was happening with the coronavirus and how that was affecting humanity. And this time we're going to be focusing more just on healing the web of life in general, as far as looking at the web of life as a whole, either in your area or as a whole on the planet, and looking for any potential tears or rips in it. Hi, Corinne. Nice to see you.
Hey.
Karen's joining us from Australia. And so this time, what we're going to be doing is looking more at the web of life as a whole and how we can repair any tears in the fabric of the web of life. And this is something that Alex was shown in a journey a couple of months ago about just the tears in the fabric of the web of life, and how when we help repair that in a spirit sense, then we're able to make a positive contribution. So this is a little different. It's a little bit more of a general journey that we're going to be doing today. So while we're waiting, a few more people I think are going to be joining us. So while we're waiting, let's just go around and everybody introduce themselves. Penelope and I will start so that, because we're facilitating, and we'll share just a little bit about how we came to this work and where we are. So my name's Scott, and I've been studying and practicing shamanism and energy work since 1996. And as it is with these types of things, it evolved slowly in my life to the point where now this is our full-time occupation, teaching classes, facilitating healings, and facilitating general group healings for the web of life. And we're based on Kauai, on the east side of Kauai, and so that's where we're talking to you from. This is my lovely wife, Penelope.
Hi everyone, I'm Penelope. Welcome. It's really great that you guys are taking time out of your day to do this. I feel like it's really important because the last one we did was, I felt, super effective, where we all were able to tune in to something greater that was going on and, you know, offer our healing to the planet and to the web of life. So welcome everybody. My background is I'm a body worker as a trade, and I've fairly recently retired from that, and I'm doing art. I'm now an artist, which is great. I'm super excited about that. But shamanic work has been very much a part of that journey, very much a part of my life for a long time, and particularly the last 7 years being with Scott. I've really immersed myself in this world, and it's been massively transformational. So yeah, so I'm excited to see what will come from today, and welcome to everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Penelope. So Joe, why don't you go ahead and start? I'm just going to go around how everybody appears on my screen.
Okay, my name's Joe Luther. I'm from Michigan, and my girlfriend and soulmate, Sonia, is, she and I met Scott on a trip to Kauai 3 years ago, and did a healing and became more and more fascinated with it, took his classes and became shamans in our own right, and we are very excited to be a part of this.
Thanks, Joe. Sonia?
I don't know. No, you don't. You're not muted.
I'm not? Okay. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Oh, now you just got muted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Joe and I's first trip to Hawaii, we got healings from Scott, and it was amazing and life-changing. So we studied with him and Penelope, and now we're shamans too, and loving all the adventures we've had.
Thanks, Sonia. Thank you. Jetson, would you be willing to share a little bit with us? You just need to unmute yourself, or I can get you. There you go. You're good.
Okay, cool. How's it going, you guys? I'm Jetson Bradford Eby, and I am on the north side of Kauai. And Yeah, I feel like the best explanation without going too long is just being awakened to the deep intuitive nature that we are as humans, and that kind of happened for me. There's a thread throughout my life: healing practice, body work, shamanic work in the earlier part of my life, and then yeah, doing some rites of passage, um, fasting in the high Eastern Sierra has really sort of cracked me open to this next level of my journey. And so that has led me down a very sort of deeply spiritual, earth-based awareness. And yeah, I feel like I'm still in the initiation of that and the growth of that. And maybe that might be lifelong as well. But yeah, so, and I continue to do that practice and further that practice. And that's led me down the shamanic path. And yeah, and then actually, Scott, I've spoken with you a few times, but it was many moons ago. So you probably don't remember, but yeah, so I was just feeling pulled and called to since I'm here locally, get involved and continue to be that bridge that I believe I am to help bring in sort of the great awakening or the turning or whatever is happening right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Jetson, for sharing. And I do remember talking story with you, I think in Moloa on the beach one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got, I think that you, we emailed before this call and I sent you the journeying with a drum. So you've done that. So you.
Yeah. I have started a journey work practice now for about a year and a half.
Okay, great. So then
yeah.
when I say we're going to journey with the drum,
yeah,
you know what we're
absolutely.
doing. Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Karina.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm in cold Australia at the moment. You all look warm. So my journey is I do life empowerment coaching. So it's really waking people up from an emotional standpoint, people who are in pain from suppressed experiences over the years. And then I combine that with energy work, and was fortunate enough to come over to Kauai in December and do an amazing course with Scott and have a fantastic healing with him. So that's the beginning of my shamanic journey. It's always interested me and would love to still continue and go further when time permits. So yeah, it's just the journey of life. I'm somewhere on it.
Thank you, Karen. Dawn.
That's me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dawn.
Oh, it looked like it paused. Well, I don't know if I've been studying with Scott for 2 or 3 years now, because Jan and I were talking. I think it started closer to 3 years ago. And I am enjoying the group atmosphere. For me, I kind of need the structure. And so that's why I'm jumping on today. I just wanted to be a part of a bigger piece. So yeah, I live on Kauai, and I see many of you are familiar, and that's a great thing. It feels really good to be a part of a community. And I really enjoy working with Scott and Penelope, and I don't know, I could go on and on, but probably no need.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you. Alex.
Hello, I'm in London. I was in bed early, ready for an early night. And I had set up my alarm for tomorrow morning to go and see the sunrise. And then this message pops out on my screen, shamanic healing in 10 minutes. So off I go. I'm here. I'm very excited to be here. It's great to see some of the faces from last time. And I'm excited to see what's coming on today. So, and I'm a student of Scott and Penelope. So that's how I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Corina.
I'm Karina. I'm living in Malaga, Spain, and yeah, I was drawn to this call today. I find the topic super interesting. I don't know, it's kind of it will be interesting. And yeah, I did the shamanic training. I ended like a few months ago or so. Still ongoing for oneself, and yeah, just looking forward. Not talking too much because I'm so tired.
Thanks, Karina. Thanks for staying up so late for us. And I have Jennifer and David. Can you introduce yourselves to us?
Hi, how you doing? My name is Jennifer. This is my son, David. This is our first time popping on. I started emailing the facilitator because I was interested in it. I feel a connection to this kind of work. I'm a registered nurse by trade, but I feel more healing with the animals and the plants when I'm in with nature. And to integrate the two would be fabulous. I've been like talking to animals all my life and the plants and things. Today we were in the woods all day. We found a whole like flock of wild orchids. So I'm quite happy with that. I'm glad to be here. Nice to meet everybody. David, would you like to say something?
Good to meet everyone.
Oh, we were at Hawaii when David was at a Make-A-Wish thing. They sent us to the Big Islands for him for Make-A-Wish. He's 22 years old now. He was there when he was 10 with his mom.
Great. And where are you talking to us from?
New Jersey.
New Jersey, yes. Thanks for joining us. And yes, connecting with nature and listening to nature is an integral part of shamanic work. So absolutely opening up those channels is a big part of it. And have you had a chance to watch the video that I sent about journeying with the drum? So you know that when we start journeying with the drum, you know what I'm referring to?
No.
No. Okay, so I will give you a very quick overview before we start. I just wanted to make sure, because what we're going to do after everybody introduces themselves, we're going to do a journey. So I want to make sure that you're also on the same page with us at that time. But it's okay.
I'll mute myself.
Say again?
I'm going to mute myself so I don't interrupt.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Jennifer and David. Hi, Sequoia.
Hi there. Glad to be here and to be part of this. So I'm on the south shore of Kauai, probably not too far from Dawn. Hi, Dawn. We were working together for a while. I was introduced to core shamanism in the mid-90s, and it's been a very important part of my life. It's just such an incredibly amazing tool for participating on just such a grander level in life. And my focus in shamanism has really been for the earth, healing for the earth, opportunities to assist with forward movement, acceleration, evolution, whatever, of humanity and the planet. So I'm very, very grateful for Scott and Penelope and what they're doing in today's journey. Yeah, I think that kind of covers it. Let's do it.
Yeah, thanks, Sequoia. Thank you so much. And it's really nice to see you. It's been years since we've seen you. And just also want to acknowledge Sequoia for giving us a little push down this path many years ago when she was facilitating journey work circles up in the yurt on Tara Coyote's property here in Wailua. And yeah, so thank you for that. Yeah. Tiffany, say hi to everybody.
Let me
unmute you, Tiffany. Oh, she got it.
I got it. Sorry, I have my stuff up. And Michael's here too, but I'll talk first. So my name's Tiffany Armstrong. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's quite an amazing path. I won't go through all the details and the channels of how we were meant to meet Scott and Penelope, and he led us to the woman who officiated our wedding there in Kauai. And we've done journey work with him, and we're floored to have the opportunity to attend the retreat. So looking forward to attending that again. And if you guys ever get the opportunity to do so, it is unforgettable and life-changing. So thank you. And then here's my husband.
Absolutely. No, I'm just happy to be here again. Love you guys, and looking forward to connecting and helping make a difference, you know?
Really good to see you both. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have Christy over there.
Hi, I'm in Auckland in New Zealand, and I'm joining this call because actually I'm friends with Libby Wallace, who I think has done shamanic training with you, Scott, and so she recommended your shamanic training to me. I have done shamanic journeys before. Actually, there's a shaman here in New Zealand who has run some shamanic journeys. I think she trained in Hawaii, and her name's Elise. And I've got a connection with nature. The trees often talk to me and have always called me, and the flowers. And I've also journeyed with plant medicine and worked with doing ancestral healing and healing of the earth. And I actually use energy, and I'm an energy healer as well, and a homeopath and a yoga teacher. And yeah, I'm looking to take my shamanic studies a little bit further. So I'm being called in that direction a little more deeply. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to being here today with you all. I also did your journey, Scott, to my power animal yesterday. Oh, that was fun. I went down my slide and all of a sudden I was in my inner child, and Bambi was standing there like I was in a comic smiling at me, and I was like, okay. And the healing was amazing, and my feet were planted in the earth in a special aligned way, and my feet were being touched. But yeah, it was a really interesting journey. Yeah. So
Great.
thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. Thank you. And good morning. Aurora? Just need to unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Aurora. I really don't know how I end up here, but it's probably I'm looking for shamanic connections, and I think it was about the journeying, right? We're going to do a journeying today, so I'm like, a group journeying, it's always beautiful. I've been on this path for about 4 years, and I always want to learn more and be open. And I'm so glad to connect with Hawaii. This is wonderful. I'm in Toronto, and I never been that far. I went to Los Angeles, California, but not Hawaii. It's just something that maybe one day. And so thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Christina, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you. This is my first time here. I've been on a healing wellness journey for the last 6 years, pretty deep after I was really sick. I'm starting a wellness practice, do energy work, and have been called to just explore the shamanic path. So that's what brought me here. I have a love for Hawaii. I'm going back for the 3rd time in a year in July. So.
Oh, great. And
Yeah.
so when we talk about journeying to the lower world or upper world with the drum, that's something you're familiar with?
Yes, I've done some on my own, but not in a group environment like this.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank
we'll
you.
be doing that shortly. And I
Okay.
see Akita. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Akita, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry, I had to just unmute myself. Yes, I've done your spirit animal, finding your spirit guide. I've did that, and I've also done some shamanic stuff with Sandra Ingerman, and I'm about to start in June a 6-month course in energy healing as well. So I think I was just called to this today, and it's been raining. Like, I'm in the Bahamas, and it's been raining for the past 4 days. So I think I needed to kind of like get into the spirit as well. So I opened my email and it was there. So I said, yeah, perfect. This is exactly what I need to do today, as well as probably what the universe wants me to do today as well. So I'm here.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you everybody for joining us. We have people from all over the world, from the Bahamas to New Zealand to Europe to Hawaii and the mainland and Canada. So it's really in Australia, and really a blessing to be able to weave the web together in this way with so many people from around the world. So what this is sharing, what I want to share is that everybody please take home this idea that all around the world there are people who share our ideology or a similar ideology about living in right relationship with the web of life. So even if in your community you might not know, your neighbors might not be into it, or you might think that you're doing things a little different than others. When we look around the world and we see here, just on one Zoom call, we have people from 5 or 6 different countries and so many different locations. It's pretty amazing. So understand that this is a shared consciousness, and it's also an ancient consciousness that has been shared by humanity for generations, for millennia. Almost all indigenous and traditional cultures lived shamanically in connection with nature, and also with the idea of safeguarding the web of life for the future generations. So it's a balance. It's a give and a take. We sustain ourselves through the web of life. This is where we get our food, our medicine, our shelter, right? But we also give back. So when we harvest, we don't just chop down the tree and take everything. We harvest mindfully, and potentially we take some of the seeds and replant them so that there's more food for later generations or later times. So it's all about using our human consciousness to be able to step into our roles as caretakers and custodians of the web of life. And that is our traditional role as human beings, is to not just live and sustain ourselves from the web as wild animals do, but to consciously caretake the web of life. All animals, as they walk through the web of life, they caretake, but unconsciously through instinct, right? The waste product from the natural cycles of life, like here on Kauai, the chickens walking around and pooping in your yard fertilizes your yard, and more things grow and they aerate the soil, right? It's an unconscious thing. But for human beings, we have this conscious awareness, and what we want to do is we want to use that conscious awareness to consciously caretake the web of life. And that is what we step into in our roles. So for our journey today, I'm just going to go over for Jennifer and David right now the basic journey work technique that I teach and that we use. And so we journey with the drum, and the drum is what we use to carry us into what we call non-ordinary reality. And for if it's your first journey, I'm going to recommend that you go into what we call the lower world. And the way to do that is you pick a starting point, a place in ordinary reality that you've been that is special to you, and a place in nature. So you've said that you like to walk around in nature. And so you're going to look remember a place that you've physically been, that is like a hole or an opening going down. It could be a spring or a pond or a cave or a crack in the rock. Anything where you feel that you could project your energy body and your spirit downwards and keep going down into the earth. Okay? So let me know you have a place. Okay, great. So once you have a place in mind, when the drumming starts, what you're going to do is you're going to go down. You're going to put yourself at that place, and then you're going to set the intention to go down to meet the lower world and to meet what's called your power animal. Okay, and as you go down and continue to go down through that tunnel into the lower world, keep asking along the way, am I in the lower world? Am I in the lower world? And eventually you'll get an answer that's yes. And when you get the answer that is yes, okay, and you've popped out of the tunnel and you're in the lower world and you get the answer, yes, I'm there, ask to meet your power animal. Say, can my power animal come and meet me right now? And they'll say, maybe it will be right there, maybe not. Whatever you encounter at that moment, ask it, are you my power animal? And if the answer is no, then you ask, can you please take me to my power animal? And if the answer is yes, that means you've met your power animal, and then explain to your power animal the reason why you're there. Say, I'm joining this group journey and I want to bring healing to the web of life. Please help me heal the web of life. That's it. Okay, so there is one other thing that you need to know, which is that we have a specific drum beat that we use when we're journeying. Okay, so when we're journeying, the drum beat is going to sound like this. Very monotonous, just ongoing, kind of driving, like riding on a horse. Okay, when it is time for you to come back, when the journey is finished, I'm going to give a signal to everyone on the drum, and it's going to sound like this. Okay, so you'll hear that 4 times. That means finish up your business in what we call non-ordinary reality. And tell your power animal, hey, I'm getting the signal, I've got to go back to my physical body. I can come back and visit with you later. Okay, I got to go now. And then you'll hear this beat. It's a return beat. It's quite fast. So when you hear that, what that means is you're going to reverse your steps. So wherever you are, basically turn around and in like fast rewind on a cassette, you know, you're just going to go really fast back to where you came, back to the tunnel, back up through the tunnel, back to your starting point, and back into your body. And at the very end, you're going to hear what I call a grounding beat, which is... And that grounding beat is going to be about you getting back into your body, making sure that you're fully back in your body. So at the end of the journey, if you or anybody else is not back into your body, you can play that beat for yourself or just say, hey, Scott, please play the grounding beat again so I can get back into my body. Okay. Immediately after the journey is concluded, please take some notes on a piece, get a pen and paper, or however you want to take some notes about what you were shown in the journey, and then we're going to go around in a group and share that again. Does that make sense to you guys? You got that? Okay. So for everybody else who's already journeyed before, you can go to either the upper or the lower world, your choice for this journey. You can work with whatever benevolent helper you want to, whether it's your teacher, your power animal, spirits of the land, or a blood ancestor. Okay. And the intention of the journey is we're just journeying to bring healing and balance to the web of life, and specifically to sew up any holes in the web of life. And that can be either locally in your area or globally around the whole world. So we're holding that intention together to bring healing and balance to the web of life, and to also have humanity realize that it's time for us to collectively step into our roles as custodians and caretakers of the web of life. Does that make sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so take a moment, get yourself comfortable, and I'm going to start the drumming in a moment.
mine kind of morphed. So I started out asking to be shown where we could support the web of life and repair. And I was shown my guides working from the ground up, and they were moving out a very dark black cloud. And I was told specifically that that was going to be helpful for those ready to see more light and goodness within themselves. And that was going to help the humans to feel more brightness. And then I was guided specifically to look at another individual that I'm not going to get into there, but it's also, I'll skip over that part because I ended up coming back to myself, and what I was shown was that the more work that we do on ourselves and continuing to clear stuff away and reinforcing our commitment to the light, that helps the whole. So that's kind of a nutshell, because some of the stuff I don't want to reveal publicly here, but that's a good.
Yeah, thank you, Dawn. And that's very true. When we work on ourselves, it doesn't matter as much what other people do. The spirits of the land will take care of it. Great Spirit will take care of it. We just have to caretake our own container, our own boundaries, make sure we're walking in right alignment, make sure we're caretaking the web of life in the way we're supposed to. And if other people don't, well, that's their issue. Just as long as you make sure you maintain your proper boundaries and have it not enter into your sacred space. So in a sense, the earth as a whole is our shared sacred space, but it's a shared sacred space which not everybody treats as sacred. However, our own personal space around us is our sacred space. That's our very personal sacred space. And that includes, by extension, our home where we live, or our property that we're given to caretake. And so we can extend that to those boundaries. But once we're in the public sphere, then sure, we can say, hey, this is a shared space. Don't let your dog poop on the sidewalk, right? Sometimes we even make laws about that. But at a certain point, we don't really have the authority to do anything about it. If somebody's really determined to have their poop on the sidewalk, they're going to, right? But they're not going to come into your home and do it, right? So this is where we keep our boundaries around that, and then allow, we don't have to go and give that person a ticket for pooping on the sidewalk or letting them. Somebody else will take care of it. The spirit of the land will take care of it, or in society, the police will take care of it, right? That's not our job. So it's the same thing here. We want to make sure that we just do our job, and then if we can bring other people and bring light to other people, great. But if they don't want to hear it, we can't force it on them. We're not going to make any friends that way. Thank you, Dawn. Aurora, would you be willing to share next?
Unmute, okay. Yeah, sure. It was longer than I expected, actually. I was a little bit trying to figure out what to do next, but I went underworld. I prefer underworld. And it was this alchemist guy who just welcomed me at the door, and it's kind of like Einstein looking. And I saw a post on Facebook today about the Yemen disaster, and I connected with that part of the world where the kids are really not well and they're dying. And I saw a lot of light. It's just like it fell from the underworld and the above, that a lot of light it sent. And I was called by Goddess Lakshmi to chant her mantra for abundance for those children. And yeah, also I have people in my life that are struggling financially, so I'm helping them a little bit. And the same thing, chanting with Goddess Lakshmi and her mantra. And I feel more at peace today, although that post on Facebook saddened me. We all know there are parts of the world that people are really hurting and dying. But I feel at peace. It was a lot of light today. I have to say that, and I'm just very happy to see that and just be in that place and that space, where I could help. And not doubt that I'm not helping, because sometimes I go through that and I'm like, what am I doing here? They're still dying. No, I'm helping them. And I think we all do that right now. So
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Christy, would you like to share with us?
Okay. Mine was quite different. Yeah, I went down to the lower world, and my power animal, the deer, was waiting for me, but also my spirit guide and the ancestors of the land. And I asked them to show me where I can help to heal the web. And they took me to a place on the grass, and there was dirt, and I was burying some crystals in the earth. And then I was dancing with my feet on the earth where I planted the crystals. And then I needed to sit on that same spot and just allow, I don't know, the alignment of the energy running through me. And then I was deep down in the core of the earth, and it was dark, and I could see the grid lines like a web. And then I was shown to just bring the web back together and hold the light of the web, and they would join. It was kind of like weaving. And then I'd go along and do the next one and the next one. And then I realized as I was doing it that I was climbing upward, coming up higher. The light was coming down, and it wasn't so dark anymore. And then I'd come to the top once I joined the pieces together. And again, the dirt would be over that hole, and I would be sitting on that hole with my legs crossed and just allowing the energy to seal that part of the earth. And so I went through that a couple of times on my journey, and that was my journey.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's really, really beautiful. Thanks. Karen?
Yes, thanks, Scott. That was really good. Mine was, I went in the underworld and then was taken by my power animal to work on the earth around. So I felt like I was Superman flying around. I had started the North Pole and just seal, it was like a cocoon of that just finely interwoven energy or strands. And so just working on repairing any holes and then sealing them. And then after that I had to go around and add light. And then when I finished that, it was adding love. And then I was directed to go to each continent and just work on putting light into every continent and then love into every continent. And then I thought, okay, this surely is finished. And then it was just working with the fear, just huge amounts of fear, and just breathing. I just had to stop and do deep breathing. And it was almost as if I needed to teach people to breathe or breathe for them. Yeah, and so that's my journey. Really great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's really powerful, sharing that with love and light with every continent. That's beautiful. Jennifer, I see you're about to drive somewhere. Do you want to share before you drive, or would you want to wait and share it later when you get there? Later.
Unmute myself. I had to unmute myself. No, I'm not driving anywhere. I just want to get out of the house because my husband interrupted my journeying. But I didn't want him interrupting it again. What I was shown was I intentionally had a place to journey to, but when I tried to get there, I was taken someplace else. I was taken to the bottom of a waterfall in, I guess it was Central or South America. There is a man with a turtle shell, and he was shaking it. I asked, like you said, who are you with the the guide, and it was a saltwater croc, and that wasn't my guide, my spirit animal. The spirit animal turned out to be a turtle. And with the turtle, it was a baby turtle. The baby turtle was just running, just so happy to run and play and be going towards what we're all going towards. And the man kept trying to show me that we're connected. We're all connected, and you can go there quite easily. There were some eggs as well. The eggs were deep into the lower world, and I just have to do what I can do, is what the turtle was telling me. Pick up garbage, stay away from plastic. It really hurts the turtles with the plastic. And the turtle just wanted to be happy and play like everybody else. So.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that and for journeying. And that's came in on my journey too, that we all do what we can do to what we can do. Right. So, and I'm just going to share a little bit of my journey right now because it follows on so well from what you shared, which is that I was shown, part of my journey, I was shown that just by showing up here today, everybody, you're participating in this medicine, this healing medicine, that is a medicine that channels through me. It doesn't belong to me. It's a medicine that is just healing for the web of life. And we can talk more about that. I'm getting a feeling Penelope's going to talk a little bit more about that later, because the last time she did this journey, she saw thousands and thousands of benevolent helpers in the upper world that are just ready to help humanity, but we have to ask. Okay, so by everybody here who's being here, it doesn't matter if this is your first time ever journeying, if you've had a lifelong or many year journey practice, if you studied with me for many years, or it's just your first day and just starting out with this path. You're all sharing in this medicine. We are all sharing in this medicine together to the extent that we can. Maybe it's picking up garbage or not using plastic for the turtles. Maybe it's working in a different way, right? With light coming in or in a more metaphysical way. Doesn't make a difference. We're all sharing and participating in this medicine for healing the web of life. And so really thank you for sharing that. And what I was shown in my journey was this medicine flowing through my spirit helper, and not just down through me, but through every single person. The web was being woven from New Jersey to Canada to New Zealand to Australia to Michigan to the Bahamas to Australia to Europe to London to Malaga to all the different spots on Kauai. Did I miss to Phoenix? I think I got everybody in there that's here today. So everybody who's participating, and I saw it coming down and filtering really literally over the web, like over the globe like that, like a web, and the strands coming down to each location where we are physically sitting, kind of like what Christy was saying in her journey, and allowing that to filter in and filter through in that way to everybody. And so everyone's participating in this medicine of bringing healing to the web of life in that way. So yeah, thank you. Thanks very much, Jennifer, for sharing that. Yeah. Okay, Sequoia, would you like to share next?
Yes, very much so. That you're very intuitive of you, because I had a lot of overlap with you, Scott, and that's what I love about sharing our journeys together, is that we get to hear it strengthens and empowers our journeying skills to get the kind of feedback where you hear these things came up, and so you know that you were in this larger plane together picking this up. So I started my journey. There's a place that I go on my path to the lower world or part of the lower world or whatever it is. And it's a place where I'm with a lot of spirits. We are weaving around the planet. We're doing this, I call it a braiding dance, and we're braiding dance around the planet, and we're sprinkling or scattering a very sparkly white energy, which is empowering the planet. So this shows up at the beginning of almost all of my journeys. And when I showed up there, I was actually directed, like, this is where I needed to go immediately. And I went there, and you all were there with all your power animals. And it was absolutely beautiful. And so we were all doing this weaving dance. And because we had this critical mass, we did a very massive healing or cleansing for the planet. We were doing it one continent at a time, and we were going to the center of the earth, and we were lifting up and through and up into the atmosphere, and then our power animals were taking off those energies to the Cosmic Recycling Center, and we did every single continent. And I don't want to miss anything because it was really fun. And then there was this beautiful gemmy rose quartz that was put into the center of the earth, the energy of it, and its energy was radiating out through all of the planet, the center of the planet, every bit of the planet, up to the earth's surface and out to the atmosphere beyond. And then we all, again, with our power animals, we flew around the earth doing this braiding dance, and we were weaving and closing and empowering any wounds to the web of life. And we were flying around, distributing the sparkly life force energy over the planet, which was to help raise the vibration of the earth and her inhabitants, which kind of speaks a little bit to what Dawn was saying, whether it sounds like it or not, where about working on ourselves, because what we're doing when we raise our own vibration, that radiates out to the people around us. We don't have to, as Scott said, we don't have to try to convince anybody of it. It's our example, our energy, our whatever, that's what radiates out, and that's what helps do the cleansing. And so that's what we were doing as we were flying around the planet. And then this is so much what Scott was saying. So I saw all of us that we were like standing where we all are on the planet, and that very strong and powerfully, and we were holding energy from the places that we live, co-creating. It was a very stabilizing energy for the planet. I was kind of seeing the earth getting like these chiropractic adjustments going on and coming to a place of real stability, and I felt like we were all facilitating that. No, that was very, very sweet. Thank you all.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much, Sequoia. Thanks for sharing that. Thank you.
Do you mind if I go next?
Yeah, you go next. Penelope's going to go next. She has an appointment in a few minutes.
So, yeah, so I took a few notes. I'm going to refer to those. So, yeah, I was shown, first of all, this collective healing, similar to what a lot of you guys have said, is so powerful and so much easier to access the bigger picture when we're all working together collectively like this as a group. And so it was very similar to last time when we did this journey, where I was taken, just as Scott described, to the upper world, where there's these thousands and like millions of benevolent helpers. So it was similar to what I was shown last month, in the sense that there's a very parasitic energy surrounding the earth and humanity, and literally attempting to poke holes into the fabric of the web of life, into humanity, into specific humans, particularly into light workers like us. And so I was shown that, you know, a great many of us have experienced those kinds of challenges where we've been literally, you know, we've been on the receiving end of that negativity through people in our lives, through experiences in our lives. And so that's where the personal healing is so super important, that we're maintaining our own individual fabric of our own web of life. And so I was taken back to that immediately, of that self-healing, and, you know, making sure that my own energy field is very clear and sealed up, and that of my family and intimate relationships, and also our homes is very important too. And so I was shown that that parasitic energy is trying to disempower and divide. It's a very divisive energy, and it's been going on for millennia. So this whole coronavirus thing that went down was just another example. It was just another much closer to home sort of example of what's been going on for millennia. It's the latest expression of it, put it that way. And so I was shown that each human has the ability to clear out the past beliefs, and so this parasitic energy also was representative of the collective negativity that has been imposed on humanity by society, by religion. And so what's happening, and what was happening in the journey, is these many benevolent ancestors, healers, beings in the upper world, and also in the lower world as well, are helping individuals to awaken. So it's a collective awakening. So my helpers and all of these thousands of helpers were working together to literally go around the planet and just help people to awaken and help them to access their own connection with source energy. And the strongest message I got was that each of us need to be stepping into what it is that brings us the most joy, and what it is that is our highest life purpose. And for me, that's being an artist and bringing beauty to the world by painting and, you know, bringing amazing images to the world. And so this is not anything like my artwork that I normally do, but I actually did a little drawing, an example of what I was shown. So this is the earth, and this is human, you know, individual humans, and this is the negative energy that's being attempted to be imposed. And then there's these much more powerful, as you can see, it's much stronger, much more powerful energies that we can access that can counteract and clear that negative energy and bring us back together and reconnect us. And so that's basically the picture of what I was shown, is that as the more that us as individuals connect with ourselves and do our own personal healing and connect with these much more powerful energies that are there, willing and ready and able to work with us to collectively heal the planet and humanity, the more we're going to be able to each as individuals step into our own power and step into what it is that brings us joy and what it is that we're meant to do. And so this recent lockdown of the planet has given us all an opportunity to really question and really look at what is it that's important and what is it that we really want to be doing with our lives. And so it's really exciting. There's this huge awakening happening, and I was just showing that, yeah, that each and every one of us are stepping more into it. So, yeah, so thanks for listening.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Penelope. That's
Mhm.
beautiful. That's
Yeah,
so
no
beautiful.
worries.
Thank you.
Mhm.
It ties into another part of the journey that I had that I want to share following up from that, which is I was shown this idea of the poking through of the fabric, the holes, the tears in the fabric that are being poked through. That one of the manifestations of that is when humans are not accountable for their actions. So we've all met people who don't like to be accountable, and on many levels, right? So if you throw out your trash and then just on the trail side, and then you don't want to pick it up and someone says anything and you get real defensive, like, I don't care, I'm just going to throw my trash here, who are you, right? That's a way of being that lacks accountability, in my opinion. So this lack of accountability is something where the web of life, that's what pokes through the web of life, because it's a lack of understanding that what I do radiates outward and impacts other people. Now, what's interesting about that is that the web of life actually doesn't care. It's more about how human beings are going to be affected by it. So, and then I was shown again this thing with the coronavirus that, look, for as long as I can remember as an adult, there have been meetings on climate change where the presidents of different countries have gotten together and flown all over the world with high-level meetings and made all these pledges. It's been going on, what, 20, 30 years? And millions, if not billions of dollars have been spent on this, just on their security alone and their hotel bills and their wine bills at the meetings. But nothing really changed. Okay? So the Web of Life said, all right, we're done. You guys can't get it together. No more air travel. And here we are. And all of a sudden, carbon emissions got cut significantly in the last 2 months. Right? So this is just an example of how the Web of Life is very patient. Creator is very loving and very patient. Okay? But if we don't listen at a certain point, it is this thing where it does divide, but then it has to come back and circle behind it like a vacuum. Okay, so if something pushes into something else, so it's like the yin-yang symbol, right? If something is pushing in so much that it pushes it out of the way, but there's boundaries on the outside, well, that other thing has nowhere to go except back behind that which pushed on it. And it's there. This is just how the dynamics work. Okay. And you can see that if you've ever been on the ocean and you see what happens behind the waves, and there's a sucking action, the same thing in air and an airplane. It's how sailboats work. Okay, it's that vacuum pulling. It's what they try to capture in Tai Chi teaching. Okay, it's the same thing here. When there's a dividing energy that pushes through something, right, that web of life is just going to circle around behind it, just like the ocean breaking around a rock then comes around behind the other side of that rock. So what we're being shown as a species is that we have a choice. We're at a choice point. We can either become more accountable and step into our roles of being custodians and guardians for the web of life, or we don't, and that decision will be forced upon us. So we can either step into it now and do it on our terms, or somewhat our terms, or we can just forget about it, pretend like it's not happening, and then something like the coronavirus comes that forces us to do it on other terms. You know, there's nobody who said, oh yeah, we want to lock everything down back in January and said we want to just grind everything to a screeching halt because that's going to help clear out the carbon emissions and make the environment cleaner. Nobody was thinking about that. They were just trying to like piecemeal their way. Oh yeah, we'll deal with the environment later. We'll deal with it later. We'll deal with it later. We'll give a little. We'll give a little. Well, all of a sudden, then the web of life just said, okay, you're done. We had time to make a major shift. So this is what I felt ties in also to that energy, what you were talking about, the dividing energy. It's that energy of I'm not accountable. I'll do what I want and I don't care about what, you know, we have hats here on Kauai. I no care. I do what I want. T-shirts, right? Well, that's not a very nice way to be, really. Okay, but it does exist. And so we have that, when that attitude, that is the dividing energy that was tied into that. So anyway, thanks for listening. Let somebody else share. Jetson, do you want to share what you were shown?
Okay, before you do, I've got to jump off. So thanks everybody, and I'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Penelope. Okay, I unmuted you. You're ready to go.
Okay. Yeah, so I basically went down from my garden and yeah, I connected with, I have a buffalo spirit guide, and I connected with him, and we basically went down and we were in this beautiful sort of open plains with mountains, and yeah, I just sort of, we ended up on a high place, and we sort of connected from the heart space, and basically created a field coming from his heart or her heart and my heart, and then that field began to oscillate and move out, and basically became sort of this sort of magnetic, almost kind of like a flower of life type radiance. And then it basically, we went out and we started just kind of flowing through from the sort of mantle place of the earth out to the outer layers, and basically just strengthening that field, radiating from both of our hearts. And so we did that for a while, and just sort of made it a focused effort to go, you know, around the whole spherical element of the earth and just kind of strengthen this field that exists, that that just was strengthened through heart space and heart energy from our hearts. And then basically started meandering around different areas of the planet that was pulled to, that had discovered, that had you know, had disturbances, mines, heavily deforested areas, super polluted cities, and just had this sort of energetic going to that was a sort of like an energy tornado with these DNA-esque energies coming from us, spiraling out to those particular areas. And so it was just basically a strengthening of the field, and then a focused of sort of heart frequency vibration, you know, from our co-creative heart space to strengthen those areas. And then this really strange thing happened. There was this field that appeared as a sort of dark clouds and blackened mountains, and it showed up in a visual format as that. And then as I sort of turned towards it and looked at it more closely, it appeared that it is that there's this shadow, dark energy burrowed into the planet. And so basically, like, and I just pointed my attention to it really strongly, and had this realization that, yeah, there's this in the context of Gaia, there are these like parasitic burrows of energetic, and so basically, really like let my presence be known that I see you, and you know, I believe that basically nothing's more powerful than light, and that shadow is the biggest teacher, and so it wasn't like it was more like an energy that I'm witnessing you and I see you, and then I have a really powerful animal guide that's a tiger, and so my tiger spirit came, and then we both together just really let our presence be known that we see you, we're witnessing you, and you're not, and sort of with an energetically of the earth protected warrior, that you're not welcome, and we witness you, and yeah, and then the tiger was just like full on growling and snarling, and just like this fierce protective Mother Earth presence just witnessed them. And then at that point you sort of started drumming out of the journey, and so yeah, I came back to where I was with the buffalo, and then back up the catacomb to my garden, and yeah.
Yeah, wow, very powerful. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for giving the eviction notice to the parasitic energy.
Yeah, and just really like, yeah, it's real. It's there, and I don't know, not to get too off subject, but yeah, it seems to be that there are some elements of things underground. That was what was really obvious, that needed to get acknowledged, and have that fierce, like, heart light energy directed at it. So like, so their presence, they could feel the presence of this other kind of energetic that is really coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's really well said. Thanks for saying that. And it's, it's our sacred, this planet is our sacred space, and we're allowed to evict whomever we want from the sacred space. Right? Just like you're allowed to evict anybody from your home if they show up at your home and start disrespecting your home, and likewise in your sacred space of your personal container, right? We're allowed to say, no, I don't agree to that anymore. So on a global level, there's this underground hidden, as you said, parasitic force that is about to be evicted. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for that. Who'd like to follow that? Go ahead, Alex.
So my journey is always a bit like a sci-fi movie. So I went to the upper world, and normally from the upper world, I go on Eagle and we fly around. But this time I was shown ordinary reality, and I was shown this big, well, what looks like human, not even sure if they were human, but big, massive silhouette with scissors cutting in what looks like mosquito nets, this white. So they were really cutting holes with the idea, and that comes back to Penelope's sharing, that they want to isolate us, human, and to divide us. So through this cutting, we're isolated. We forget about the oneness. We forget that we're connected. We forget our unity. And the way it manifests in reality, it's through communication. So messages of wars, messages of being divided, messaging of wanting to conquer, messaging that is, unclear. This is how it happens, through our ordinary reality. All of this miscommunication is just creating those tears. And I was shown that the trees can help us very much, because through underground, through the roots and through their foliage, they can talk. So it would be tree by tree. It's the tree connecting through the other tree that would help us. But also got the message that we have to honor the trees, because the tree doesn't care really. So it's like, you know, you want us to do something for you, show some respect, because there's nothing in there for us in a sense. It's more like you said, it's the humans that are at risk here. And then I was shown, so that was within the atmosphere of the Earth. And then I was shown again around the Earth, you know, so once you pull out the Earth and you see the stratosphere around, I saw like this, what could be flying saucers. It could be a metaphor, but shooting laser again to create those holes, and also to disconnect all the connection to the sun, the light of the sun, again to isolate us, to keep us in darkness. And there I was shown to reach out to the masters, the ascended masters, the angels, all of these higher beings to really come in, because yes, we're doing a fantastic job, but we're not enough. We need these higher beings to help us, basically. And I was also practically guided that dragon's energy is a very good medicine. So just ideally flying on a dragon around the earth 3 times, shooting fire, it's reinstating that energy force and keeping the attacks at bay. So quite simple, really. Like jump on your dragon, fly around 3 times with that intention, and reinforce the shield. That's, I think, pretty much my journey.
Great. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for sharing that. Akita, I think you were going to share something.
How did you know? I went down, and I did actually ride the eagle. My animal guides are birds. This time it was an eagle that came in, and synchronistically it showed me the waters. I just was seeing a lot of water, so it showed me the oceans and the marines and the ports. Locally, that's what I was seeing, and the message was generally something like, basically there's so much stuff in the ocean for us, and that we almost, like what she was saying about going down and using I guess the nutrients of the ocean, and for us to almost return to our alchemist stage, where we are protecting the ocean as well. What the eagle told me was that, like, to put our energy behind conservative efforts to protect the ocean, but at the same time for us to know that there's really a lot of stuff in the ocean for us to be able to use. So, and also I got this kind of message of when we return, so almost like when we get back to, like, to go back to the beaches, go back to the ocean, and to almost make it a sacred space, and to really almost forge a relationship between the oceans and the beaches when we go back, and to help to, like, protect them as well as get to know them so that we can actually use what's in them for our healing. And yeah, and also to put your energy behind, put our energies behind, like, water conservation, ocean conservation services and groups and stuff like that. So that's what I got from mine.
Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. Water-based.
Yeah. And I would just want to say that I was really feeling very low today. So just being in this, I'm very happy, and so I just want to say thank you for doing this today, because literally, like as I think it's Penelope, was that her name?
Yes, my
As
wife.
she was like describing like the lower energies that were here, and you know, I was kind of like, I felt over the past 24, 48 hours that I really was being pulled into a lower energy. But like as soon as I came into this, like my spirit just completely was raised, and I feel like my energy and my vibration was raised. So it also gave me like a solid knowing that this is what you need to be doing. You know what I mean? So I just want to say thank you for doing this, and I just wanted to add that little extra spoonful of sugar in there as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks for saying that. And that's actually really important to understand is that these lower vibrations, as you call them, they function by bringing us down to that level.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we're evolving and growing as human beings and going through our spiritual growth path, it's natural that we go through that oscillation between feeling really beautiful and expanded and full of love and being able to support, and then, oh man, that stuff's really getting me down.
Yeah.
Eventually, we will get to the point where we just allow that to belong to the other people, right? That's kind of what I was being shown in my journey in different words, which is that that negativity doesn't belong to me. That belongs to the other person. If somebody wants to be that way, they're entitled to be that way, just not in my sacred space.
Right.
Go take it somewhere else. You know, like if you have kids and they're fighting, take it outside. Not in the house. Go take it outside. I don't care who's right or who's wrong. I'm not the referee. I'm not involved. Go take it outside, and hopefully both of you guys come back in. But we'll see what happens, right? Just take it outside. This doesn't belong to me, right? So that's that thing. When you identify that negative energy coming towards you, you do have a choice to say, no, I don't agree to allow that in here. We all have a choice in our personal sacred space about what we allow in and what we don't, even when it's demanding.
Yeah, and I think it was like my ego. So it's like I have to tell myself that, like, no, don't take this on. This doesn't belong in this space. Like I have to tell that to myself.
Right.
Because it wasn't necessarily anybody doing anything to me, but it was just like I could just feel myself feeling down and feeling, you know, certain ways about certain things and not really feeling my 100% self. So I literally wrote that down because I'm going to continue to tell myself that the next time I'm feeling that, you know, that does not belong to me. Take that someplace else.
Yes, that's very important. And well, it may not be anybody personally doing that to you, or individual whom you know, but be aware that when we watch the media or social media, there's a lot of things out there that are very heavy. And I find that, you know, I like to be informed of current events, and I also want to make sure that I'm protected from those negative influences that ride along the way those current events are broadcast through the media.
What came to my spirit was because I changed my diet slightly and I just was not eating as healthy as I usually am eating. And I really feel that because I consumed some stuff over the last 7 days that I usually don't, I kind of feel like I kind of picked up some energy there.
Yep, that's another absolute avenue that it can come in. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you for joining from another set of islands,
You know,
in
every
a
time
different
you do
ocean.
these, they're so helpful. I have to do these more often because your journey is, I always have such a good time with them.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, who'd like to share next? I think we still have a few people who haven't shared. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, so I went to the lower world and found my wolf power animal, and my hummingbird healer helper was there as well. And we set out to look around for something to work on, and what I found was this kind of tear or a burn or a disconnect in the neural network that connects humans together in their collective consciousness, if you will. And I was told that the break, this particular break, developed from so many humans being in fear of being told to assume that everyone that you encounter is infected, and also by virtue of wearing masks where you can't see expressions and other people's smiles or whatever energy that you're used to seeing on a face, and that this fear of others and kind of disconnect created by the masks has created a greater degree of a lack of empathy amongst humans. So so my hummingbird helper reconnected it, and as soon as he reconnected or she reconnected it, I could just see beautiful light flowing back through the network. And I asked, I said, well, what can we do to not let this happen again? Because people are still in fear and people are still wearing masks. And I was told by my wolf power animal that it's a great opportunity, and that the opportunity now is for people, just like when you lose, when somebody might lose their sense of sight or lose their sense of hearing or whatever, it creates stronger senses in other areas. This too gives us an opportunity to look people in the eye more. And eyes, I was told, of course, is the window to the soul. And too often we rely on more superficial gestures. So now we have the opportunity to be more empathetic by really looking at people and connecting with one another. And then I was told that this kind of new agreement or intention to be more empathetic through looking into people's eyes and understanding where they're coming from was sent through the neural network along with the light. And then I was told at the end that empathy is a gift that we give, not that we just use for ourselves, but that we give to others, and that we need to practice it more deeply.
Beautiful. That's a really beautiful journey, Joe. Thank you for sharing that. And really interesting, that part about the neural networks and how that's happening because of people wearing masks and not being able to recognize the normal facial clues that or cues that we're used to. That's just fascinating. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure.
Sonia, you want to go?
So my intentions were to, the south of Detroit has a very industrial, it's a very industrial place, lots of pollution. It's one of the most polluted places in Michigan. So my guides and I went to the south of Detroit, and we found some holes and they sewed them up and we fixed them. And they had these like erasers that erased the pollution that was around there. And they also used a filter in the Detroit River to clean it up. And they brought 5 of the main owners of the factories there. And they were whispering in their ears about, better ways of running their companies and just being better for the environment. And they got through to 4 of them, but one of them he was just not hearing it. So after we finished the south of Detroit, we went into Detroit, and there's just so much pain there. I mean, there was before the coronavirus, but there's even more now with the loss of jobs and everything that's going on. So they started pouring like gold light into the streets and the buildings, and it was going well, but it just felt like such a daunting task to go down each street and to do this. And they just said, just do as many as we can, and, like a drop of water. And how this group we're all reaching out and each person we touch and they touch, and it just goes on, and that it's not, you know, it even though it's daunting, it's not undoable. And they also just talked about walking more consciously with more thought in our actions and our thoughts and the way we touch other people, so that we can keep the positive rolling forward.
Well, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Very good to focus on your local area and local community. So, yeah, thanks, Sonia. And Tiffany, I know you said that you and Mike need to go soon. Do you want to share something with us before you have to go?
I think she did a text.
Yeah,
Left.
she said that they had to go. Okay, that's fine. Okay, who else has not shared yet that would like to share? We heard from everybody. Karina, Narani, you joined us late. Were you able to journey, or did you just here to come and listen?
No, sorry, I was late. I had to go to a redundancy meeting.
Ah, yes.
So, yeah. No, I haven't journeyed. I have been. It's been really interesting listening. There's just a couple of points I'd like to make as I've been, absorbing it all. One of the things I want to say, like as a Roman Catholic, and we fair cop it, but one of the points that you brought up about, lack of responsibility with everyone else, originally confession, how we go to confession and you sit in front of the priest and you confess your sins. Originally, you used to have to stand up in front of the whole congregation and confess your sins then, because what you did affected the entire community. So, that's sort of what you're talking about, people taking accountability for what they're doing. That's really important. And just the other thing, as you know, I'm tribal and we have over 1,000 acres of land. I'm going to go down and sort of like do the healing from the crust down, because, we've had some criminal activity that I've shared with you. We've had wars, we've had bloodshed, we've got people cutting wood down, we've got fires going. And so I think what we're going to do as a collective for our own whānau and get our tupuna in is to start trying to fix up the crust of our land, fix that up, and start trying to cleanse it from all of that sort of like process to start with. So we've got to start doing our own patch, and I think we're forgetting the consequences of our actions as it's seeping in. So, but it's been really interesting, and thanks. I'm really, really glad I tuned in.
Yeah, thanks, Narani, for sharing that. And if you're working in that way with a very specific piece of land, and also from my limited experience when I was just in New Zealand in March, you might want to work specifically with the guardian spirit of the land in that place, in that location, rather than necessarily with your power animal. And also because it's your ancestry and it's your ancestral land, you can work through your blood ancestry as well to connect with the guardian spirit of the land and the ancestors of the land and in that specific location, and then bring that forth to whomever within your council there is willing to listen to that type of guidance, or they'll at least tell you whom within your council is willing to listen, and then you don't necessarily have to tell them how you're getting that information, right? You don't have to say, oh, I went out there with my drum and laid on the land. If they're not open to it, they might be, they might not be, right? But if they're not, then you can just say, well, listen, when I tune into the situation, this is what I think would be the best for the family or for us as caretakers of this piece of property. And I feel like you will be guided in the way in which you can step into that leadership role, even if it's not a front and center leadership role. It may be a leadership role where people are listening to you and then they want to step up and take the credit, right? But that doesn't really, I don't think that really bothers you so much. It's just more about being able to get the ear of the people and the attention of the people who are going to be the ones making those decisions, and having them listen to you in that way. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. Thank you, Narani. Okay, so I see Karina, and I see somebody with a phone number but no name at the bottom there. Does anybody else want to share anything about their journey? Hi, Karina.
Hey, I can do it quickly. It's short as usual. So I went to the lower world and I saw an image of like a globe that you fill up with air, this kind of stuff. I don't know how it's called in English. And there were like some holes on the upper part of it, and the reason is pollution. And then I saw the sun, and she was like shining through the holes, and this was warming up the waters. And I asked for healing, and I saw like it was about the the X of the Earth. I think it's going from the North Pole to the South Pole, like the Earth has kind of an
Axis.
Axis, the axis of the Earth. So somehow this was important for the healing, and it seemed to be related somehow. And later I asked for opening the consciousness of the people of the Earth towards this and the web of life, and I saw that they also were centered like in a spiral. And then I saw the eyes of an eagle watching all of that. And then I saw myself vomiting a lot throughout the journey, and I asked again for a healing later for the web of life, and they put kind of another layer of protection around everything. And then I got the message that before the light there will always be darkness.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. And light can't exist without darkness, right? It's all gradations. So if there's a up, there's a down. If there's a front, there's a back. If there's light, there's a dark. Right? Otherwise, it's all just the same thing. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for journeying. Really, I'm just so touched that everybody here is willing to spend 2 hours of their day to help. Really appreciate that. And we'll see you all next time. Thank you very much. And feel free to reach out directly by email if you have any questions that didn't get answered here today.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
Thank
you
you,
all.
Scott.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Aloha. Ahuyo.